A very good morning from the Maharashtra Judicial Academy. I am Sudhakar Yarlagadda, Joint Director. It's my pleasure to welcome today's guest speaker, Dr. Jagannath Pati, MSW, LLB, PhD, Senior Fulbright Fellow, California State University of Long Beach, USA. He is presently the Joint Director, Administration, Finance, Policy and Legal Aspects of CARA. He is carrying 20 period to NCPCR as a registrar. He already conducted many sessions at the Premier Institute, that is the National Judicial Academy Bhopal, and other state judicial academies and state training institutes, National Institute of Defense, Social Defense, National Institute of Public Cooperation and Child Development. He not only have this experience of conducting the sessions, he is a writer also. He authored books, namely Children Without Parental Care, Every Child Deserves a Loving Family, Adoption, Global Perspective and Ethical Issues, Media and Tribal Development, Stories of Tribal Women Involved in Local Brewing, Chota Nagpur, Women in Agriculture. So many books he has written. We have a very good resourceful person. Yesterday, the subjects of in-country adoption, inter-country adoption, and adoption by the step parents, etc., were dealt with. I know some queries were looming large in our mind, that what will be the final order, whether taking the deposit is okay or not, sure the of that child when we are giving that child into the adoption, and after giving into adoption, how long we shall take up the follow up. Many more questions will be there. You have a right faculty today to deal with and to deliberate on those on those issues. Sir, it's my pleasure on behalf of the Maharashtra Judicial Academy and also all our participant brother and sister judges and chairpersons and members of the from all over Maharashtra, Daman and Diu. You are welcome to this webinar for today's session. And in the beginning itself, I acknowledge your cooperation in arranging this kind of training program, which is a very complete, comprehensive and systematic manner. You have provided good and good faculty. Also, thank you very much, sir. Now, I welcome the honorable judges, all district judges, principal district judges from Maharashtra, Goa, and Daman Diu who are attending today's program. Also, I welcome all my brother and sister district judges, and I welcome all the chairpersons and the members of the CWCs. It's my pleasure to arrange such webinars. Now, I request Dr. Jagannath Pati sir to take over this session and start the session. Thank you very much.
Good morning, sir, and judges and CWC members, chairpersons. It is my privilege to be given opportunity to address such an important and sensitive issue. And I will go, I think, to the presentation. Just start the presentation. Whether presentation is visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you so much. I have long been in this profession, which calls for involvement of head and heart for last 20 years, and it has always been a pleasure to see children joining loving and caring family, and that it becomes a satisfaction every day. You see this phenomena happening, and both children, normal children, special need children, being placed within the country and abroad. And within last 20 years, almost 80,000 children have been placed, and this has been a very systematic journey. I'll just come to that. Then I can go to the thematic issues. And before that, I would like to just inform you that we have around 470 special adoption agencies as the maximum state adoption resource agencies, like a counterpart of CARA in the state. So normally we depend on the SARA, State Adoption Resource Agency, for implementation of rules, regulations, and for everything that is related to adoption. Then we have DCPUs, District Child Protection Unit 672, and all over the country, almost every district we are connected. And whenever there is an issue, maybe related to counseling of older child, counseling of special need child, counseling of parents, and rushing to the court or rushing or bringing anything, to make it the process hassle free, we always depend on this DCPU, just like our back and call. DCPU has become essential, coordinator for us from every angle. Then we have around 6,000, 5,929 childcare institutions which are linked to CARA. We have total childcare institution 5,929, say around 1,000 childcare institutions so connected to CARA through carings. They are children. What is that? These all over the country there are 470 specialized adoption agencies, but childcare institutions are many. For we have made essential linkage between childcare institution and SA, so that anywhere a child is at home, is orphan, abandoned, surrendered, with the child can be linked, and we have placed several children through SA CCI linkage. And from 2011 onwards, we have been, I think this is a sort of best practice, adoption through SA CCI linkage. Although CCI is not directly connected with us, but we normally depend on the services of the district child protection unit and CWC for everything, for linkage and for delivering essential, giving assistance required. Then we have, as far as inter-country adoption is concerned, we have working relations with 54 countries, and out of 54 countries, around 40 countries are Hague ratified, and the rest 14 countries are not Hague ratified. So, what is Hague ratified? See, Hague Convention on Inter-Country Adoption is a multilateral agreement for between sending and receiving countries. I think there are around 100 countries who have ratified, and this is nothing but a charter of safeguards for children placed in adoption. Wherever a child is placed in international adoption, the essential safeguards cannot be compromised and have to be followed. The receiving countries and sending countries, they have to respect each other's, like a court order, document, essential documents, and there are. This is something that ensures and we prefer to place our children with the Hague ratified countries, because when we place a child with a Hague ratified country, like European countries are all Hague ratified, then United States of America, then the systems takes care of their safeguards. Like as soon as a child is placed in a inter-country adoption and with a court order from Indian court, when the child reaches in Europe or USA, automatically they get citizenship. There is hardly any time. Earlier it was not happening. Earlier children used to be placed with the guardianship orders. So under guardianship orders, this you must be knowing this Lakshmikant Pandey judgment, which set the court also called court made law, which set the tune, and children used to be placed under guardianship law, and they used to be adopted as per their country laws within a period of 2 years. Now we do not allow any child to be placed under guardianship and then proceed in inter-country adoption. So therefore, these are called Hague ratified countries, and we normally have a working relationship with the Hague ratified countries, and their government department, their central authorities, just like counterpart of CARA. So we have day-to-day. So we have a working relationship. Okay. Then we have this Indian diplomatic mission, 32 Indian diplomatic missions. They are also connected, mostly in non-Hague countries like Middle East, like Singapore. So where we do not have, this foreign agency, central authority kind of thing, then Indian embassy, Indian High Commission, nominates social workers and monitors sponsors the cases of Indian parents, NRI, what is called non-resident Indian parents. So we have foreign agencies also in most of the Hague ratified countries, Europe and USA. We have around 65 foreign agencies, and the foreign agencies are recognized, are recommended by authority country as well as Indian diplomatic missions abroad, and we give them license for a period of 5 years, and they are responsible for not only processing of the cases of inter-country adoption, but also for their for post-adoption follow-up. Then we have something about how many parents are waiting as of now. You know, we have a system like a Carings child that is online IT application, which has really brought a new adoption regime, like transparency and ethical practices. We can generate figures, how many children are waiting, how many parents are waiting, where are the delays with the CWC, delays with the court. So everything we can generate. Even, we send intervention letters based on, online data to registrar of state high courts. And we also issue letters to state government for addressing delays at the level of Child Welfare Committee. So I think for implementing Carings, I think we give all credits to our all agencies as well as the state government for their cooperation. Then we have, we have waiting parents. As on date, we have around 25,000 parents waiting in India. And similarly, we have around 1,000 parents waiting from foreign countries to adopt our children. But at present, children in home are around 7,000. And out of 7,000, 5,500 are normal children and rest are special needs children. So, and children available for adoption is 2,700, and normal children are very less. There are about 600. Then for immediate placement, there are about 700. Then special needs, about 1,400. So what is the difference between three categories? Like normal children, normal category, immediate placement, and special needs. Special needs are normally mentally and physically challenged children, and mostly such children are placed in inter-country adoption. And in case of normal, then comes immediate placement. Immediate placement are mostly older children, and with 15 referrals, if a child is not getting, then the comes to the portal of immediate placement. In that case, the parents who are eligible and suitable, where home study has been completed, they can also match and reserve a child, and they can take the child in pre-adoption foster care pending court order. So these are mostly immediate placement children, are mostly older children, and we find really challenge for adoption of such children. Then we have normal category, normal children. And in the normal children, if you see 0 to 2, 2 to 4, 4 to 6, 6 to 8, if you see mostly the maximum parents in India, they desire to adopt children between 0 to 2 age group. So you see, we have not very, I think not large number of children in the 0 to 2 category or 0 to 4 category. So you see the parents, they are waiting, large number of parents are waiting while children are also waiting, but children number, normal children availability is quite less. So that is one aspect. See, the other issue is that we also, I think if you see children, then children pending to be declared legally free for adoption by Child Welfare Committee. There are around 1,800 children, 1,800 children all over the country pending for CWC clearance. So see, CWC plays a gatekeeping role, and without Child Welfare Committee, really the I think the competent authority for children in need of care and protection, the child cannot be called as adoptable. So only when the Child Welfare Committee issues the LFA, legally free certificate, and the child then the document is uploaded along with the child study report and medical examination report of the child, and only then the child can be referred to a family. So therefore, I would like to urge all CWC members, chairperson of CWCs, wherever you are working, just please see that how expeditiously you can clear children legally free for adoption. And we have seen that most of the CWCs, they are very child friendly, and they take decision in the best interest of the children, and they also I think do. But some of the cases we have found there are unnecessary delays, and CWC members have to really do meaningful role in this regard. Then we have something about this. I think we have just, this is an overall background about the statistics, where we are, and when we started. Then just I'll go to the something like the background. Formal adoption in the country, go fast. And just to orient you, because yesterday there was some sessions, since I am here in Kara from the very beginning, when Kara was registered as an autonomous body, I'm well versed with its history. So I have to go just for, because there may be some judges or Child Welfare Committee, they may not be knowing about the history. See, something like the formal adoption regime started with the Lakshmikant Pandey judgment by Honorable Supreme Court of India during 1984. And from 84 to 91, there were several judgments. And you can see, then we have, you can say the post 1984 evolution and before that. Because after that, after then the things started, Lakshmikant Pandey judgment. So then setting up of nodal body of Kara with the government, with the Honorable Supreme Court's direction, Government of India set up Kara, Central Adoption Resource Agency, in the year 1990. That has become a subordinate body. It is not, then Supreme Court further issued direction that it should be set up as an autonomous body. Then in the year 1999, March to 99, Kara was set up as an autonomous body, and Kara started issuing NOCs in cases of inter-country adoption from 94-95, and the retired Chief Justice of India, Justice P.N. Bhagwati, headed a task force by, and that was set up by Government of. The revised guideline was chaired by this by Justice P.N. Bhagwati, and the first time Government of India issued guideline that is called revised adoption guidelines 1995, and this basically I think for inter-country adoption. There was no focus on in-country adoption because even there was a no law except HAMA. So HAMA was just happening, and so only for restricting inter-country adoptions and only regulating inter-country adoption. This guidelines, laid down roles and responsibilities of various stakeholders. What will be the role of CARA and what will be the role of VCA? At that time, Voluntary Coordinating Agency was a state-level agency promoting domestic adoption. Then ICCW, ICSW scrutiny. So now there is no more scrutiny required, and all these things. Then Government of India, I think the Juvenile Justice Act 2000 came into existence, and after this Juvenile Justice Act 2000, and hardly there was something, I think one paragraph about adoption, but then Government of India initiated to have a guideline in-country guideline in the year 2004 and inter-country guideline in the year 2006. So, and in between, in the year 2003, Government of India ratified the Hague Convention and to comply the Hague safeguards. Then, in the year 2006, we had amendment to the JJ Act, and the surrender children also became part of, and there were some other amendments. So from 2006. Then we stipulated that instead of HAMA and guardianship orders, agencies should persuade agencies were persuaded to get adoption orders under JJ Act. Sometimes it was JJ board was doing at that time. So things changed after that. Then adoption guidelines 2011. It was the first time. 2011 guidelines, it contained both in-country and inter-country these rules, regulations, and roles and responsibilities of all stakeholders. So it was the beginning, really, 2011. Then it was further amended in 2015. Then JJ rules to this 2016, and now what we implement is, that is adoption regulations 2007. So this is just humble background, and how things have changed in the entire. If you see, the whatever the JJ rules, JJ Act, ICPS, and adoption regulation. See, there are emphasis on three issues. That is, one is source of children. That there should be no wrong sourcing of children. Like there should not be abduction or sale and trafficking of children in the guise of adoption. And now it is a remote possibility that children placed in adoption can ever be trafficked or then. So this is a very important, because the essence of the adoption process. Then issue of priority to domestic adoption. So that has already been stipulated, and now in the online carings we have also stipulated, and this priority principle, the adoption regulation also emphasizes on that. So issue of priority to domestic adoption in the own socio-cultural milieu. Now NRIs are also considered, as that of Indians, as far as referral is concerned, placement. Then similarly, there is also a proposal that OCI parent, overseas citizen of India, they are also going to have the same status with that of NRI parents. That means, as far as referral is concerned, parents having Indian socio-cultural the background, like having affinity with India, they will be given preference. But the sad part is that we do not have large number of children. We have more parents rather. So, and the last issue is ethical issues. So how we have, large number of cases were happening in the court. You must be knowing about this large number of this illegal adoption in Andhra, Tamil Nadu in the year 99, 2000. number of agencies were derecognized, and at that time there was no checks and balances. So now there was even the agencies, they were responsible for surrender deed. There was no CWC. So agencies, they used to have the receive the surrender deed and everything. So it was very difficult at that time. Now we have a new regime of transparency and ethical practices, and you see we have an online system. Now the parents have need not to go from pillar to post for registration. Now we have also scope for preservation of information, and there is no scope of direct adoption under Juvenile Justice Act, and which is all happening under HAMA. I will not discuss HAMA, but because HAMA, there is no checks and balances. It was rather called a parent-friendly legislation, while JJ Act is called as a child-friendly legislation. Then deriving improper financial gain. So now it is a remote possibility because we have stipulated adoption fee. I will come to that, and we have a different, I think, a step-by-step procedure. And there is a, as far as this earlier, before 10 years, we used to get so many complaints against agencies demanding money, donation. But now it is something, a matter of past. Next. So this is something three. Then I would like to just also summarize whatever, just for conceptual clarity. Then if you see five step, what is 5-step priority for orphan and destitute children? I will call you 5 fingers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So for orphan destitute children, what are the priorities available as far as child protection and rehabilitation priorities are concerned? So first priority is safety and protection needs of a child. Safety and protection needs of a child, that means if a child is admitted, something like a child has a medical issue, the child is immediately admitted in a hospital, and there is visit by CWC and DCPU, then other stakeholders. So that is the most important aspect, the safety and protection needs of the child. Then comes family preservation and restoration efforts. So why I'm giving this 5 fingers principle? Because one can see there may be CWC members who may be coming from different background. So with this essence of understanding, I think they will be able to make a good decision as far as children wherever they take decision related to children in need of care and protection. Then family preservation and restoration efforts. So what is family preservation and restoration efforts? See, in case of abandoned children, there are efforts that I think you must be knowing. Then in case of surrender children also, there is period of 2 months reconsideration period. So family preservation and restoration efforts. And suppose some biological parents, they are surrendering a child on the ground of poverty, or on the ground of say they have got more children or other social reasons. So they can be counseled, and they can be they can be considered under sponsorship grant or family foster care. So separation of a child, that is in the last decision. Separation of a child, that is a very important decision that is done by Child Welfare Committee, and it is a very important decision. So before that, due diligence is made by Child Welfare Committee with the help of DCPU. That is called family preservation and restoration efforts. And then comes placement of children in domestic adoption. So placement of children, rather instead of domestic, we can say in the socio-cultural milieu. The first priority is placement of child in the socio-cultural milieu. That is first priority. Earlier it was to be determined like 80-20, then 50-50. Now it is just like you see, only hardly, I think, suppose around 33,000 children are placed in domestic adoption, and only maybe 500 in inter-country. So inter-country children, and out of inter-country, I think around 30% are having Indian, this NRI and OCI parents. So then placement of children in inter-country adoption. Next priority is placement of children in inter-country adoption. Then The last priority is institutional care. So I think this is the background. Now I will come to the next. Now I will come to the topic one by one, and the issue of confidentiality. Confidentiality of records. So it has been even in Lakshmikant Pandey judgment, it was there, and even Juvenile Justice Act, section 311 of the Juvenile Justice Act, and also the principle of a right to privacy and confidentiality. Every child shall have a right to protection of his privacy and confidentiality by all means and throughout the judicial process. So this is, see, what I would like to quote the Juvenile Justice Act, the rules, the Hague Convention, and UNCRC. What rather because that we that are policy that has to be followed. So even Section 74, that is a prohibition on disclosure of identity of children. 74. Then I am coming to Juvenile Justice Rules 2016, Procedure of Inquiry, Section Rule 1921. All orders passed by the committee in respect of a child in need of care and protection shall also be uploaded on the designated portal with due regard to the confidentiality and privacy of the child. Let me inform you that as far as carings is concerned, the online information, it is entirely confidential. Only we issue login ID to each stakeholder, and each stakeholder can see their whatever they are supposed to see. So even online carings, we have taken, we have already included that. Then I would like to also inform you about adoption regulation provisions 2017. If you see, come to the regulation 3C, all adoptions shall be regulated, shall be registered on carings, and the confidentiality of same shall be maintained by the authority. We have also hired this services of NIC, the government, this IT department, for maintaining this. While CARA is the administrator, the IT application is maintained by NIC. So this is then let me procedure relating to a surrendered child. If you see regulation 720, it says that strict confidentiality shall be maintained in cases of all documents pertaining to biological parents in all circumstances, unless the surrendering parents have expressed their willingness for divulging the same. So you see, there is in the surrendering document also there is a provision that whether they do not want to be, in case there is a search by the child, they under in the then you see, in case of regulation 25(2)(k), it is for the specialized adoption agency that divulging information of biological mother or parents or adoptee to public in violation of the principle of confidentiality can amount to revocation of license recognition. So again, regulation 29(2)(b), that each adoption agency is required to maintain confidentiality of unmarried mother and biological parents. Then confidentiality of records, regulation 45. All agencies or authorities involved in the adoption process shall ensure that confidentiality of adoption records, except as permitted under any other law for the time being in force, and for such purpose, the adoption court order may not be displayed in any public portal. So that is why we see adoption these orders are not displayed in public portal in most of the cases. Next. Then confidentiality of records. I am coming to this Lakshmikant Pandey judgment. The Honorable Supreme Court of India has given the direction that it may not be desirable to give information to the child about its biological parents while the child is young, as I think this is more related with the root search. So I will start root search again, but let me just read it. The Honorable Supreme Court of India has given the direction that it may not be desirable to give information to the child about its biological parents whilst the child is young, as this might have the effect of encouraging his or her curiosity to meet its biological parents. But if after attaining the age of maturity, the child wants to know about his or her biological parents, it should not raise any serious objection. The child is not likely to be easily affected by this such information at this stage, and in each case, in such a case, the foreign adoptive parents may, in exercise of their discretion, furnish such information to the child if they so think fit. Uh, this can be related to root search, what I read. Then I'll go by the rules also. What the UNCRC says, Article 2, all rights to be recognized for each child in jurisdiction without discrimination on any ground. Article 3.1, best interest of the child to be the primary consideration in all actions concerning children. Article 7, birth registration, right to name and nationality and to know and be cared for by the parents. Article 8, this article of the Convention on the Rights of the Child concerns the children's right to identity and their rights to have such identity preserved where necessary, re-established by the state. Then Article 12, respect for the child's views in all matters affecting the child, opportunity to be heard in any judicial or administrative proceedings affecting the child. Then I'm coming to the Hague Convention, which you normally follow. You see Article 16.2 and Article 13, they are important. 16.2, Article 13, just like just like a right to identity and also right to versus right to confidentiality. Okay, Article 16.2 itself transmit to the central authority of the receiving state its report on the child. That means sending country. Sending country. Normally, we are we are basically sending country, and we are also known as a country of origin. So, country of origin shall transmit to the central authority of the receiving country its report on the child, proof that the necessary consents have been obtained, and the reasons for its determination on the placement, taking care not to reveal the identity of the mother and the father if in the state of origin these identities may not be disclosed. Article 31. The competent authorities of a contracting state shall ensure that information held by them concerning the child's origin, in particular, information concerning the identity of his or her parents, as well as the medical history, is preserved. They shall ensure that the child or his or her representative has access to such information under appropriate guidance insofar as is permitted by the law of that state. Then this is also has been reiterated in the best practice. So every 4 years, there is a meeting that is called Special Commission meeting in The Hague, where sending and receiving country, they discuss issues of mutual interest. And this para 109, para 110, and para 111 of the minutes of the meeting can be related. And the theme, the summary, the crux is that the child's right must be balanced against the right of birth parents not to have their identity disclosed to the child who is relinquished for adoption. Next, I'm coming to this regulation 44 that deals basically with the root search. Regulation 44. So regulation 44, if you see it, and at CARA also, we are trying to evolve an online system so that older adoptees can register online. So that is already, I think we are already working on that. And I would like to, this regulation 44, there are, two important issues. You see, uh, uh, Regulation 5 and Regulation 7 of 44, 44.5 and in case of 44.5, in case of denial by biological parents or the parents are not traceable in surrendered cases, the regions and the circumstances under which the information is not being made available shall be disclosed to the adoptee. And 7, 44.7, the right of an adopted child shall not infringe the right to privacy of the biological parents. So we have in the regulation 44, we have proactively enabled older adoptees for their root search, and that is, of course, we need the help of, you see, any root search. It cannot be done in an unprofessional manner because the biological mother may have another family this time, and the biological parent or mother may not be interested to go back to last before 20 years what happened to her. So it has to be sensitively dealt, and by our we are making a mechanism with the help of DCPU, Ta and Sara. We would like to assist any older adoptee. Mostly, I think they are foreign uh, placed in inter-country adoption, older adoptees, and but there are some cases we see that those who have been placed under Hama and before 30 years, like in 1980, even the Kara was not in existence. And those kind of things, I think it is difficult to find. And even in abundant cases, see, there are surrendered children, there are abundant children. In abundant children cases, it is not possible at all. And only they can so the older adoptee can approach the adoption agencies and see how they were taken care of. And sometimes the older adoptees, they have just inquisitiveness to know where they were kept, how they were taken care of, and they do not go beyond that. But sometimes we have seen that uh, some of the this third party kind of thing, some of the this I think they are charging uh, the older adoptees, and I'll come to that. But this is how the protocol is that we do not encourage the third party search, and third party search is not permitted. But in a recent case, the Bombay High Court has uh, in the this writ petition number 13670 of 2018, the Honorable Bombay High Court allowed this third party search with a order specifically with a power of attorney, right? With a power of attorney from the older adoptee, Honorable Bombay High Court has allowed a particular case, but the court has not agreed that it is a third party because there is a kind of power of attorney. So this is the writ petition number 13670 of 2018. So I think Honorable Court has allowed root search by third party with power of attorney. So now I'll come to adoption fee. See, gone we used to, Kara was bombarded with complaints, with grievances, with irregularities, like agencies are demanding, some cases they are demanding money. So it is not like that because at that time we have really streamlined, and the adoption fee structure has been out of 470 agencies. A number of agencies are also getting grant under ICPS from the state. Maybe around 350 agencies. Exact figure I don't have, but out of 470 maximum agencies, they are getting grants. Besides, see, purpose was that this adoption fee have been allowed, keeping in mind the best interest of the child, because the children, most of the time, the children reach adoption agencies in a very vulnerable state, and for small children, there has to be essential services, medical emergency required. So that is why government has decided that even if they are getting grant in aid, they are also eligible adoption fees. See, home study of the parents, 86,000 rupees. And for this child care purpose, preparation of child study report, medical examination report, child care maintenance, and legal expenses around 40,000. Post adoption follow visits and counseling, which is required for a period for I think 4 times in a year, in a period of 2 years. It is 2,000 rupees per visit. Then revalidation of home study report, it is 2,000 rupees. Then in case of intercountry, the home study is as per the norm of the receiving country. Suppose home study fee in USA or in Europe or any country. So that is determined by the respective agency and the country. But the intercountry adoption fee is high. So that comes to the fund of the child care corpus of the adoption agency. It is 5,000 US dollar. So you see, there are 470 agencies. In average, you can say one. It is coming almost to one inter-country adoption per agency. So that has been allowed by the government. And post-adoption follow-up visits and counseling in case of this foreign countries, that is decided by their own country. Next. Then something about the foreign paps residing in India. And for home study, it is 3,300 US dollar. And for child care corpus and etc., it is 4,700 US dollar. Timeline. This is something about the timeline. See, the timeline is yes, it is schedule schedule 14 of adoption regulation. If you can see schedule 14 of adoption regulation, really there in a very systematic manner timeline, like a see within 24 hours the specialized adoption agency to produce an abundant child with CWC. Then something about you see if everything within 3 working days the time. Suppose special adoption agencies to enter the details of the child along with his photographs in carings 3 days. So we have all. I'm not going deep into that because for everything there is a timeline because we think that the child the, the child the time of the child is very valuable and for child
Sir,
the best.
sorry to intervene. Sometimes in between your voice is becoming so low. Can you keep the mic very near to your face? Thank you, sir.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. So so timeline. Now you can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Ordinarily it is okay, but sometimes probably you are moving away from the mic, therefore it is not audible. Okay. Thank you.
Family life and the child go to family every earliest. That is why for each agency and authority there has been a time stipulation beginning from adoption agency
Sir,
in
not
Para.
audible. Sir, again, there is some low voice. Maybe that connection is loose or mic is moving away from you.
Hello, hello.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Please continue, sir.
Yes, yes. Okay. So timeline is something like even for Kara, we issue NOC within 10 days. Even for court, that is within disposing of the case, uh, 2 months. And sometimes we have seen that the court are disposing of the case in the first hearing itself, like within a not go detail into the timeline. For CWC to declare a child legally.
Sir, not audible, sir. Not audible.
Sound है?
शायद माइक से आप मुंह
I'm close to mic.
हाँ वो देन ट्राई सर.
अच्छा, I'm close to mic. ठीक है ना? Sound है? Sound है? ठीक है ना? Okay. I'll try to be louder.
Yeah, okay. Sir.
Okay. Hello. Is it okay?
Yes, you can
Hello?
start. Sir. You can start.
Okay.
Sir.
Okay. So timeline has been stipulated even for Child Welfare Committee, for court, for Kara, for Sara, for DCP, for everybody. So that is, I'm not going to in the details. It is schedule 14. That is timeline. Next. Something about donations. You see, donations has been prohibited. Now, in the Lakshmikant Pandey judgment, at that time, donation was allowed, but now donation is not allowed. If you see regulation 25.2, that there is a provision 25.2H, suspension or revocation of recognition of specialized adoption agency, financial irregularities or malpractices or receiving any donation, whether in kind or case, from prospective adoptive parents or adoptive parents can lead to suspension. Then adoption regulation 46.3. Then like the specialized adoption agency is not permitted to accept any donation in case or kind, directly or indirectly, from the prospective adoptive parents for adoption of a child. Even in schedule, I think 23, the SA has to give an affidavit that I commit myself not to receive any donation in any form from the adoptive parents or their relatives or through their sponsoring agency during the adoption process or after completion of the adoption process. Next. The Hague Convention that I think the Special Commission of 2000, it came out very strongly. I think you can see that donations by prospective adoptive parents to bodies concerned in the adoption process must not be sought, offered, or made. So what used to happen earlier, Indian agency, when there was no checks and balances, they used to have donation or grants from foreign agencies, and they were directly placing the children with the foreign agencies. But with the Kara and kind of functioning and setting of Kara, checks and balances, now everything is in order in the sense.
Sir, I suggest better you use the mic itself. Now this time it is more becoming frequently low. पहले का ही ठीक था, एक आध बार जाता था, अब ज्यादा
जा रहा है.
हाँ जी, माइक यूज कीजिए.
अच्छा, can I be little slow so that I'll try to be slow.
सर उससे नहीं सर, वो थोड़ा सा आवाज बीच में लो जा रहा, जैसा आप माइक से मुंह दूर जाने के बाद में कैसा लो होता है वैसा लो हो रहा.
I am not going.
हाँ, yes, I understand. Probably.
I'm the same to it.
हाँ सर, माइक यूज ही कीजिए, पहले का ही ठीक था.
हाँ,
माइक कनेक्ट कर लीजिए सर.
हेलो हेलो हेलो.
हाँ, यस सर. ओके.
Okay. So anything else? ठीक है. Okay. So donations have been prohibited. Can you hear me? Donations
Yes.
have been prohibited.
Yes, sir.
And now I'm coming to this deposits. And see, deposits, there is no provision of making any deposit in the name of the child, either in the JJ Act or in the JJ rules or in the adoption regulations. And there was a court order also. When I go to the case law discuss, I will also speak about that. And in the regulation, which one? So some of the courts, they are asking for deposits, and that is not because why deposit is not required, because home study report is very important, and only when a couple is found that they have adequate resources, only then they are considered eligible and suitable. So that is there. Even for biological parents, there is no deposit. When there is no deposit for the biological parents, why it should be stipulated for prospective adoptive parents? Uh, I'm just reading uh, 12.7, regulation 12.7. The adoptive parents shall not be asked in the adoption order to execute any bond or make investment in the name of the child, considering the fact that their psychosocial profile and financial status have already been ascertained from the home study report and other supporting documents. Now, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
okay. So I will also, when I discuss about the case laws, I will discuss about that. And something about the appeal. We have a appellate authority for cases, and that is headed by Joint Secretary in the Ministry looking after CARA, Joint Child Protection. Then there are members like NOC Committee legal member, and we have CEO CARA. So such cases, there are like any prospective adoptive parent or child or any person on his behalf aggrieved due to non-selection for adoption because of the opinion of the suppose parents are rejected. Suppose parents are asked something which are not provided in the regulations. So in such cases, parents can approach anybody. The agencies can approach also wherever required, and the decision of the appellate authority will be final. So there is a appellate mechanism for consideration of the same. So this is just, I think I would
Sir, not audible.
not. I think I'll go by the questions, sir. Let me see how it is possible. Then next. Okay.
ऐसा हो रहा है, एक सेंटेंस सुनाई दे रहा है, दो सेंटेंस कट हो रहा है.
Achha, I'm very sorry. I'm very
हाँ,
sorry actually.
please.
I'll see how it can be done. Just I can improve. Next session maybe. वहाँ पर देख
Yes.
लेना.
Yes, sir. Yes. Sir, अभी एक काम करते हैं अभी.
अभी we can have.
हाँ, yes, sir.
Hello, sir.
हाँ, yes, sir.
Should we have question now? Or
Yes, sir. If some questions are there, we will take, sir.
okay, and then we can have a break. Then we can have the session.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm very sorry that the problem is there. Actually,
I think it's some basically probably network problem, low bandwidth. Now participants are requested to raise their hands, those who want to raise the queries.
सर त्यांनी त्यांचं डेस्कटॉप शेअर केलंय त्याच्यामुळे आपण दिसतोय त्यांच्या कम्प्युटरवर. त्यांना फक्त स्टॉप करायला सांगेल पाहिजे शेअरिंग.
हा हा
सर
हा.
hello.
Ha, yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Any question, please, sir?
My request to the participants to raise their hands if any. Sir, I think you have covered the main aspects, that is the deposits, root search, and probably, yes. Malabade, sir, please unmute yourself and speak.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, sir. Sir, my query is that how to deal issue of caste a child to be adopted?
Okay. See, there is see when we receive it, we have a child like orphan, abandoned, surrendered. There is nothing, the caste of the child. In fact, if you say 63, JJ Act 63, I'm just reading it. A child in respect of whom an adoption order is issued by the court shall become of the adoptive parents, and the adoptive parents shall become the parents of the child, as if the child had been born to the adoptive parents for all purposes, including intestacy, with effect from the date on which the adoption order takes place, and from such date all the ties. Hello, hello.
Yes, sir. Please continue, sir.
See, from the date what the section 63 says about the effect of adoption is that from the day the court order, the child has to embrace whatever as if the child is a biological child from the date of the court order. So there is nothing the caste, religion, or come in under JJ Act. That has not been done. It is a secular law. Am I clear, please?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Now I request Sri Mahesh to unmute and put his query.
माझा प्रश्न असा साधा आहे की गेले 1.5 वर्षापासून मी बरेच दत्तक विधानाचे जे संस्थागत आहेत त्या संबंधाने पाहिलं. त्यामध्ये एक बऱ्याच ठिकाणी असं लक्षात आलं की जो दत्तक घेणारे आई वडील आहेत.
सर एक विनंती आहे, कृपया प्रश्न हिंदीमध्ये मांडलं तर व्यवस्थित होईल.
ओके, आय विल ट्राय.
येस सर.
Is that there is a gap of age between PAPS and the proposed adoptive child. There also requires about 3 years period for giving proposal of or showing profile to the PAPS. Whether this period, this age gap is considered by the CARA at central level, and whether it can be reduced, because if there would be of PAPS that is having age band between 45 to 50, and the child if is of 1 year age, he will get less period of parental care in that way. In that context, I am asking or suggesting that whether CARA can do some needful in such cases to lessen the age band between PAP and the adoptive child.
This section regulation 5 deals with the age criteria. And this has been, this regulation was consulted very widely with all adoption agencies, state governments, everywhere. And there is nothing like it cannot be considered or can be considered. But you see, even the livelihood, this kind of longevity, human longevity, that up to 45 years, it has been considered that up to 45 years, you can add, if you are 45 and 45, 90, then you can be placed a child 0 to 4, right? So I think the age commensurate with the age of the child, like older child for the older parents, and those who are 4 and I think 4 to 8, their composite age is 100, and those 8 and to 18, their composite age should not exceed 110. So it has been commensurate with the age only. And as far as this attachment, something like that, so that that is, counseling for older children. Anyway, they need to be counseled, and for parents who are adopting older children, they need to be counseled, and there should not be any compromise on that. And through counseling, we have seen that it has done miracle.
Thank you. Thank you for your answering, sir.
Thanks.
There is one more query, I think, from Ram Prabhu. I could not. थोडासा please नाव वाचा कोणाचं.
हो बरोबर आहे सर. रामप्रभू साहेब, रामप्रभू देसाई
Sir,
साहेब.
Yes,
sir,
from
am
Gupta.
I audible, sir?
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Sir, I know that CARA is working under the Juvenile Justice Act in cases of adoption. So my suggestion is that why cannot CARA play a role in cases of adoption, in appropriate cases of adoption under the HAMA and other personal laws? That would be best in the best interest of the children. If some reference comes from court in other cases also, this is my suggestion. That would be more appropriate. That's all. Thank you.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Would you like
Yes.
to respond?
Yes, yes. See, as far as HAMA is concerned, since it is a policy matter and the ministry is dealing with that, and there was a parliamentary committee studying all these guardianship implication of Guardianship Act, Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act, Hindu Minority Act. So there is a policy level. I would not be able to comment on that, but your suggestion is well taken.
Thank you, sir. Now I request Dr. Lakshman Nema Dhanavade to unmute and put the query.
Sir, please refer section 58(3).
Okay.
Section 58(3) says, on receipt of acceptance of child from prospective adoptive parents, along with the child study report and medical report of the child signed by parents, the specialized adoption agency shall give child in pre-adoption foster care and file application in the court for obtaining adoption order in a manner provided in the adoption regulation framed by the authority. Sir, my question is, can this give child to pre-adoption before court order?
Yes, yes, yes. It is happening. It is happening since long. It is happening since very long. Ever since
Order
see,
they are giving.
why pre-adoption foster care? See, some disturbance. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm
Yes.
hearing.
Yes. See, even before Juvenile Justice Act, what used to happen also? See, there is a stage called pre-adoption foster care. The adoption, pre-adoption foster care. See, why the child is allowed to be taken in pre-adoption foster care? Because, you see, if only after the court order, because everywhere court takes 2 months, 4 months. In some places it takes 1 year. In some of the pending cases it is more than 1 year. So when we emphasize that institutional care should not be preferred and child should go to the family at the earliest. So in that case, I think whatever the practice now, pre-adoption pending foster care, pre-adoption foster care, it is doing very well, because within 2 months or 3 months they will have necessary adjustment with the child, and by the time because everywhere the court, I think there is a hearing and they have to physically go approach meet the judge, and till they have, during that time they will have necessary adjustment, 2 months, 3 months. So pre-adoption foster care, that is very well justified in the sense the child is legally free, the parents are eligible and suitable, and the adoption committee at the district level has found them suitable also. So it is well established. It is going fine. Yes, please.
सर अनम्यूट करा सर प्लीज. एरलगड्डे सर.
Anaga
This,
Rote, madam. Anaga Rote, madam.
Sir, I want to ask in this regard that, can you hear me, sir?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Just now, sir has said that foster care is useful and it is definitely working very well. Yes, I am agreeing with it, and it is really, so far as in-country adoption is there, foster care is there. But what about inter-country? Inter-country, unless the court passes order, there is no handing over of custody to the adoptive parents. Then there is no foster care, there is no interaction, no compatibility checking between the adoptive parents and the child. So there should be some mechanism, I suppose. So in cases of inter-country adoption.
See,
So,
yes, I would like to respond. See, there is a well set procedure because after NOC is given, even the NRI parents, the foreign parents, they come here and they stay here for 1 or 2 months. During that time, they can keep the child because that is an adjustment phase. They suppose they want to take the child to a park. Yes, I don't know. See, why they have been allowed to take in pre-adoption foster care after NOC, because the foreign parents reach here and they do not get court order within a day or two. They have to stay at least 1 or 2 few weeks at least, and there are checks and balances because there is a clear-cut direction and it has never violated. See, they have to have passport, they have to have exit visa, they have to have conformity after the court order. So without that, the parents cannot move outside the country. So when the foreign parents are in the country, they are staying in a hotel, they should be free to interact with the child. So once after going to the institution for 2 days, 3 days, the child, normally they take the child to their hotel or wherever they are staying with a guest. So this is also good because there has been nothing they have abused the child during pre-adoption foster care stage. Rather, there has been 1 or 2 cases where the foreign parents have adjustment issues, and
Sir,
they have.
Sir, may I intervene?
Yes.
Is it a gray area or it is codified in the these regulations? What
In the regulation, it is in the regulation.
Okay, can you
It
please?
is in the regulation. Yes.
I just wanted to know that shall court take the report of the concerned institution about the interaction between the prospective adoptive parents and the adoptive child when there is inter-country adoption, because such type of report or such type of what we can say the review report will be necessary for the court for perusal, that what is the interaction between the adoptive parents and the child when there is inter-country adoption. So
Yes.
is there any procedure, is there any rule in this regard?
Yes. See, what happens for a court order, most of the courts in India, they require the stipulate physical presence of the parents. The parents along with the child will be available in the court's chamber for necessary, and during the chamber hearing, the judge can very well see whether there has been adjustment. During this time, for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, they stay with the child. They have some, they develop language, the child develops language, adjustment, toiletries, techniques and everything. So this, what is happening, all over the country, they are asking, in some of the cases, they are also without physical, no, just I'm just reading Regulation 16(2). The prospective adoptive parents may take the child in pre-adoption foster care for a temporary period within India after issuance of no objection certificate by CARA, while the court order is pending, by furnishing an undertaking to the SA in the format at so and so. The prospective adoptive parents shall receive final custody of the child from the specialized adoption agency as soon as the passport and the visa are issued to the child after issue of adoption order from the competent court. So it is a temporary custody given after NOC so that the child and the parent have interaction. Because we do not stipulate that the child, when the parents are here in the country, the child should remain still in the institution. I think, are you clear, please?
Yes, sir.
सर एक चॅट बॉक्स मध्ये तसाच प्रश्न दिसतोय.
Okay. Whether a court can direct the foreign assistant to spend sufficient time with the adopted child to get him section 59, under section 59, 59, 1-2 weeks, 59, section 59, under section 59 to spend procedure for intercountry adoption. This is the that question in the chat box is about whether the court can ask the parents to stay sometime. See, by the time they approach, they meet the learned judge. By that time, they might have already spent few weeks with the child. So, see, the parents, they take foreign parents, they take leave. Sometimes, the leave is not granted in time, and they come for 1 or 2 months, and unnecessarily they may lose the job or anything else. When they have spent sufficient time with the child, such kind of a direction may not be required. This is my suggestion. Whether a court can anything else, chat box?
Nothing there in the chat box, sir.
Yes.
Before taking the query of other participant, I would like to request the participant from Nagpur and Pune, where the data shows that many cases are pending. Please put your queries. If any dilemmas or if any queries are pending, because of which the pendency is there, this is a right opportunity, and you have a right person to clear out doubts. From Nagpur, and now I request the participant from Nagpur, please.
Yes, sir.
Please introduce yourself and ask the question, sir.
I am audible, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Good morning, sir. I am Subhas Karale, District Judge, Nagpur.
Sir.
Yes, sir.
I am dealing with adoption cases. My query is, sir, the adoptions which are not coming in relative adoptions and which are also not coming under Hindu Adoption and Hindu Adoption Act. So whether there is any directions from the central government or any authority for the registration of such kind of adoption deeds which are not coming in relative adoption, which are not coming in Hindu Adoption Act.
There is no such direction. See what is happening. We have seen some few cases like foreigners coming and registering adoption deed under Hama and trying to get NOC from Kara. Kara cannot issue NOC because it has been not processed through JJ Act. In JJ Act, there is a strict protocol. JJ Act, there is a strict protocol. And in case of Hama, so therefore, there is a provision that Kara cannot issue NOC in any other case except that has been processed under the JJ Act. We cannot issue any NOC or anything. Yes, please tell me.
Yes, sir. Any further query? Sir, not audible. Karale, sir, you are not audible.
Now?
Yes.
My another query is, suppose one Hindu friend wants to give his child to another friend who is also Hindu. So there are two Hindu friends. One want to give his child in adoption to another Hindu. Okay, this adoption is not coming under the relative adoption under JJ Act. Okay, so then these parties approach to the registrar. Registrar is not ready to register their adoption deed, and court is not ready to pass the order as it is beyond the scope of relative adoption under JJ Act. So where these kind of parent have to go, because court is not passing order because it is not within the scope of relative adoption.
Yes.
And registrar is not ready to register their adoption deed by saying that collector has issued some order and they cannot register without order of the court. They cannot register adoption deed without order of the court. So where kind of parents have to go?
I would like to highlight on this.
Yes,
see, under HAMA, Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act,
yes.
even there need not to be relative. It is still a valid legislation.
Yes.
Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act is still a valid legislation. And for that, relatives, there is no restriction of relatives. Only thing is that the child is to be Hindu, the parent, the biological parent, and the adoptive parent, they have to be Hindu. Okay. And such cases, in that cases, the ceremony and also the cases have to be registered anywhere. That doesn't say it has to be registered in the court.
Yes.
The HAMA adoptions, there is provision that the adoptions to be registered. But as per Supreme Court this order, any deed is valid till it is challenged. So if somebody challenges, because suppose they are, they do not know each other, okay, fine. But somebody is staying in Canada and they want to take the child to Canada. And in that case, there will be very difficult because they will approach NOC from CARA, and CARA cannot issue NOC because it has not been processed. So foreign, the antecedents have to be seen. If they are Hindus and they comply the HAMA provisions, then that is okay. The HAMA, we had, we collected some data under HAMA from 6-7 states, and very interestingly, we found that, just to have some kind of assessment, even Christians and Muslims, they have done under HAMA by the name, because there is no checks and balance. And whoever registering any person with a 50 rupees or 100 rupees deed, they just register something like that. So if it has to be verified well, and it has to comply the HAMA provision. But certainly not with the foreigners. If any foreigner is there, not certainly with them.
But in my example, I think that court's order is not necessary. Court's order is not necessary for those parents to register their adoption deed with the sub-registrar office.
No, not necessary.
Yes,
it is not necessary.
Yes, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Karade sir. I hope that you will reduce the pendency within 6 months. Sir, sir, unmute kara sir. Unmute kara. Yes, sir. Bola sir.
I will reduce the pendency.
So nice. So nice of you. Yes,
Thank you.
please.
Thank you. I will again, we have 5 minutes for pause. I will again request the Honorable District Judge from Pune. I think Rote Madam, you are also, your district is also having a pendency for about some substantial pendency since 2019. If any problems are there, any queries are there, I think this is the right person you can make put up before him. From Pune. Rote Madam, are you there?
आहेत सर.
हा.
अनघा रोटे मॅडम, आपण अनम्यूट करून बोला ना प्लीज.
अनम्यूट करा मॅडम. Okay.
सर पुढे शिवोलकर मॅडम आहेत.
Yes, Vijayalakshmi. Yes, now I request Vijayalakshmi Shivalkar Madam from Goa to unmute and speak.
Morning, sir. So my topic, this was to the earlier issue
which were they had raised objection, not this opinion regarding poster caregiver child. So according to me, it is a two-way journey, because when you give a child in a pre-poster care with the prospective parents, it is not that the child has to adapt it to the prospective PEP, but it is the other way also. The parents also gets the opportunity to see that how the child is getting adapted to them and whether they are happy. And these all issues can be dealt with because this is done pre-order. So once they come for the inquiry, at the time of inquiry, all these issues, inquiries can be dealt with by and the magistrate there plays a very important role. He can inquire with the parents whether they are happy with the child in the same way, because one of the member of the CARA remains present there. And in that, the member can ascertain when the child was given to the PEP, how is the health of the child. And when the child is brought before the magistrate, at that time you can very well ascertain whether the child is really happy, as well as you can also ascertain whether the parents are happy. If this issue, that is the reason that whatever provision made under the JJ Act giving order is the best provision, and it has to be used at utmost. That is what I feel. Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Would you like to respond?
Agreed. Actually, she also, I think, given her observation that
Yes.
it is both not only the child has to adjust to the parent, but the parent have to also adjust to the child. So this system, pre-adoption foster care, the way it is going, I think it is fine with the rest of the country. Everywhere we have seen pre-adoption foster care, because already the local level DCPU and other authorities are associated. So this is time tested. This is good.
Yes, sir. Thank you, ma'am. I'm putting up a query from the charts. This is from Honorable PDG sir. Question is, if there is a discrepancy in respect of marriage date and the income source in the application and the home study report, procedural aspect, whether fresh home study report needs to be called, or discrepancy can be resolved by getting affidavit of the parents. Discrepancy.
Yes, yes,
Yes.
Very interesting question. Fresh home study has to be done. Fresh home study report. Suppose one is getting at that time before 2 years, one was getting say 50,000 rupees as salary. Now he's getting around 70,000 salary. So that is okay. But if there has been a change in the family, like there has been a divorce, or there has been some other remarkable issue, then in that case, the home study normally we get update the home study. It is done.
Sir, in that case, due to this COVID problem, definitely there will be some change in the discrepancy in the income reported in the then report and the present personal meeting. So where will it be proper to keep? My question is to keep this application pending and call for fresh report?
Yes, we do not reject. The thing is that we do not reject. Yes. There are 3 people like the DCPU, the social worker, and the medical officer. There are 3 people, and in case of any issue, we have a state coordinator. At CARA, we have a state coordinator. So immediately we get the issue addressed.
So I think that this has to be understood like this. Let the application before the district judge be kept pending, and call for whatever reports we can call instead of rejecting and again making application.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir.
Rote madam, sir.
Yes. Thank you.
Am I audible, sir?
Yes, ma'am. You have a greater role.
Yes. Just I wanted to state that in Corona period, that since SOP has been received from Honorable High Court, we have just now disposed of approximately 25 adoption cases during this COVID period, and I am continuously interacting with the parents or the VC, and we are trying to dispose of the older matters first. and I'm in process in the disposing of all the cases and passing the necessary orders. One more thing I wanted to know from the speaker sir, that most of the parents are from out of Pune, Bangalore, Calcutta, etc., and they are doing jobs there. And recently that we have discussed the issue that the income source has been assessed at the time of filing of the petition, and recently the income source has been changed or some variation may be there. So what sir will suggest, whether fresh report should be called or whether we should go on with the previous report?
Yes. See, as far as income is concerned, it is suppose one is salaried class, one is they are having some business, some kind of. See, if it is not drastically changed, see, if it is in the higher side, there is no issue. One officer has get one job, whatever, got a promotion, and okay, getting a higher payment, then it is okay. But if there is a remarkable change in the family, suppose he has lost the job, right? That number one. Suppose he has again something. There has been some divorce petition or something else. There is a change in the family. Otherwise, I think the assessment should be taken in, because there are in the home study report. There are other issues also, not only financial criteria. There are other criteria also. And you'll be surprised to know in some of the courts in India, they are doing video conference with the parents, and they are clearing the court order, and they are live with the parents wherever they are during COVID period. And this is really, and I also expect if Maharashtra, which is having largest number of adoptions in the country, if such experiment is done, really it would something called best practice in the country, with a video conference with the parents. Something, yes. I think that will really help to know how the child
yes,
can
we are
come.
We are doing, sir. That we are continuously doing during Corona period. We are doing it. And one last question I want to ask you that in country adoption, we are taking undertaking of any of the relatives in case of mishap. Somebody should be there to look after the child, isn't it?
Yeah.
So whether any rule is there that the undertaking should be of relative only and not of friend, because in some of the cases they are giving undertaking of their close friend because no relative is available as such. So whether friends undertaking.
In case there is in case no relative is available, then it is of the discretion of the court.
Okay.
To look into it, but in case relatives are there, something. Because sometimes what happens, the parents, Indian parents, they keep it secret for some time, and they want to just. So we have not come across such issue, but mostly they give maybe some distant relative they give.
In one of the cases, Mumbai parents, adoptive parents were from Mumbai, and they were submitting before me through VC that their relatives reside abroad and nobody resides in India. Therefore, they are giving undertaking of their friend. So, in such situation, shall we accept the undertaking of their friend?
It has to be authenticated. Actually, whatever they are saying, it has to be authenticated. If it is authenticated, then the learned court can take the decision in the interest of the child.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Before taking a 10 minutes pause, Jagannath Pati sir, I am very glad to inform you that though under the Honorable Bombay High Court, there are near about 39 or 38 or 39 districts, including the original jurisdiction. I am not giving the figures of the original jurisdiction. Excluding that, there are 38 entities or districts, and the pendency, out of the pendency, 6 digits pendency, 2 digits pendency is there only in 6 districts.
Oh, great.
Out of 38, only 6 digits, 6 districts have double digits. And out of them, 3 districts double digits are from 2020.
Yeah.
Recent. So it's
Yeah.
very as you said, not only the biggest number, the performance is also reflected. And, I am again glad to say that as soon as these regulations were brought into force, within 1 month we had scheduled a training, and as such, out of our cadre of near about 300 district judges, regular district judges, there are we train near about 120 district judges.
Yes, sir.
And in today's program, our main focus is the members and the chairpersons of the CWCs, and the new district judges who took the charge after the previous trainings.
Yes.
Sir, if you permit, we will have a 10 minutes pause.
Okay, sir.
Everybody can have one tea, because we are not able to provide the tea this time from here.
Okay, sir.
Now it is 12:10. Let us come back at 12:20. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Thank you.